Hi everyone, my name is Kate Masterson and I'm from Sherburne, Mass. And I'm here to tell you about my final project because I'm very passionate about the environment. So for my project, I want to implement a permaculture garden as well as a green team in my town's elementary school called Pine Hill School. I went through the system, so did my brother and sister, so my family has a really good relationship with the school and I would love to do something that would benefit them. So why kids? Why not the high school or the middle school? Well, when kids are young, their neurons are making trillions of connections, and it's during this time period that their brain decides which ones to keep and which ones to disregard. So if we can implement some kind of environmental criteria into their day, their brain is more likely to keep those environmental connections. Also, by implementing a young green team that'll then graduate to the middle school and then to the high school and college in real life, we'll create a stream of green, as I like to call it. Just a little more specific on the green team, Mr. McAdams, he was my 5th grade teacher, and he's really energized about the environment. I'm hoping that he will be the supervisor. I think that they'll meet about once a month, maybe more if they want to. And they'll probably discuss nothing really heavy because they're not very well educated yet, but definitely drive discussions that get them thinking about what the issues are. It'll be 3rd to 5th grade, just because when you're in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, you're still learning how to read and write. And also, the little kids will have something to look up to, and the green team can act as a role model. We also have school meeting in the elementary school, which is every Friday morning. Kids can do talents, a class can present, you can sing. So if the green team has any projects or any cool things that they want to present, they have the opportunity to do so. For the permaculture garden, I'm definitely going to be using the Sherburne gardening clubs. We have 2 of them in my town, and they're going to help get the garden started and also help maintain it over the summer. I've contacted one of the clubs and they were really excited about getting a permaculture garden in the elementary school. I was also thinking about a rotation, 1 class per day to help maintain the garden, or even read a book outside, or maybe use the garden as a teaching tool to learn about plants. It's also going to be really fun for the kids because it's hands-on and kids love to get outside. So what exactly is a permaculture garden? Well, the word permaculture comes from the word permanent and agriculture. It's a relatively new growing technique considering our current agriculture has been around for 10,000 years. What's awesome about it is that it mimics natural systems and creates biodiversity. So you have plants and organisms working together that will benefit one another. This requires less maintenance by humans because the garden can self-maintain. Just an example is Three Sister Farming. It's been around for ages. So it's between corn, beans, and squash. So the squash in the ground, they act as a pest predator, I guess. And the corn, it acts as a structure for the beans to go around, and then the beans give lots of nutrients back into the soil. So they're all growing together to benefit one another. Another example would be the fact that tomato and basil, they grow really well together. So that's how you kind of create a permaculture garden, is to put different organisms together that will benefit one another. So why? What's wrong with the current agriculture practices? Well, there are 3 main ones that I thought of. One is deforestation. As you can see in the picture, companies will take out thousands of acres to plant 1 crop. About 50% of the world's land is used for agriculture and animal production, whereas only 5% is used for preservation. That's a big difference in my opinion. So another issue is pesticide use. About 500 million pounds of pesticides are dropped on U.S. crops alone per year. That's a crazy amount. And about 5% of that will get into the ocean, which kills all the aquatic life and creates a huge imbalance there. Also, pesticides not only kill pests, but also potential pest predators, which is counterintuitive. The 3rd issue is soil depletion. So big companies aren't really concerned about putting the nutrients back into the soil because they want to make profit. So what they'll do is they'll first level or clear out a piece of land, and then they will just plant a crop, and they'll suck out all the nutrients in the soil, and they won't put it back. However, if you have a permaculture garden, deforestation isn't really an issue because you're going to create a nice environment for animals to live in. You won't need pesticides because there will be organisms already living there that will help, that will kind of get rid of the pests. And soil depletion isn't an issue because you plant plants that love nutrients and then plants that give back the nutrients. So it creates a really nice balance. So this is a brief action plan. First, I need to educate myself more on the issue. So I need to learn more about why our current agriculture practices aren't working, and also everything there is to know about permaculture gardens. Then I need to get support. I need to get support from the kids' parents because they play a huge role, especially when the kids are younger. I also need to get support from the elementary teachers. Since it's such a small school, the teachers have a really big influence on the principal. And I also need to get support from the PTO. They're a parent organization that just basically decide which funds get funded and which ones don't. Then I'm going to present it to the elementary administration. I'm going to have a PowerPoint going over all the aspects, and I'm really going to push that by accepting my project, the school is going to get great press. To have an elementary school with a permaculture garden would be revolutionary. Once they pass it, I then am going to implement the green team around the end of January, and then start the garden around end of April, early May. So my main target is Mrs. Kenny. She's the principal of the elementary school. And since the school owns the land, she can basically single-handedly accept or deny my project, which is a lot of pressure on me. But I need to utilize the people around me to get her to say yes. So an important person or group for me would be the Sherman Gardening Clubs. Like I said earlier, they're really going to help me maintain the garden, get off its feet. Another important person is Mrs. Brock. She's the head of the PTO, which I mentioned earlier. I have a really great relationship with her. I play lacrosse with her daughter, and I know she'd be more than happy to help. I also need the past teachers. I've had a lot of them, so have my brother and sister, and they're really great people. They really are interested in the environment, and I know they love doing different activities with the kids. Another important contact for me is going to be Megan Gift from the UMass Permaculture Garden. They actually came in and presented the presentation on permaculture garden, which is actually what got me interested. And they're a wealth of knowledge. They know so much that I don't. So if I have any questions or concerns, I can definitely contact them. So just to recap, there are so many issues with our current agriculture practices, like I mentioned, deforestation, the pesticide use, and soil depletion. I also want to teach the young kids to get them thinking about what our issues are. We can't allow our kids to grow up in a bubble not knowing that the dangers that we're doing. I also want to give back to my community. Since I do live in a wealthy community that tends to have a mindset on money, I really want to get their mindset to switch to more of an environmental one. So I want to implement the green team and the permaculture garden to not only show the kids the benefits of polyculture growing, but also get them thinking about how they can save the environment. Any questions?
Did you have any strategies that are focused on kind of involving the elementary school green team directly with the permaculture garden? So having them work with it,
Yeah,
farming.
the green team, they're going to be the leaders of the school. What I was thinking is they could come up with different activities for each class to do. So they could really feel responsible for the garden, which I know in elementary school, you're kind of in 5th grade, you're top of the school. So I was thinking they could definitely be out there with the kids and get the little kids interested and come up with different activities.
So I've worked with 4th graders and 5th graders, and they're kind of not good at focusing on things, I guess I would say. So how do you plan on really getting them to care about this garden and wanting to work with it?
Well, I know when I was in elementary school, I loved being outside and getting out of the classroom. And it's really the teacher's job to make it fun, make it interesting. They're not just going to go lead for an hour. Like, I don't know. So make it interesting. Tell a story about, you know, how the plant grew or something. It's really up to the teachers to make it fun.
So you said your first step in this project would be to educate yourself more, which I think is super important. And then, do you have plans to like educate the rest of the people that you're trying to, like the rest of your school or the teachers that you're trying to reach, or is that going to be like in your presentation, or do you have a broader goal plan for that?
Oh yeah, for education, I'm definitely going to send out an email to the teachers letting them know what my project is. I'm also going to give them resources to look at, and once it's passed, or once I hope it gets passed, I'm going to have a meeting with all the teachers, and I'm going to give a presentation on, you know, what permaculture gardens are, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and I'm also going to have the Sherburne Club come in and answer any further questions and give some more information to the teachers, so that when the teachers take their classes out, they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought about startup budget?
Yes, so my budget, well, first off, I plan on having a 2-week donation period. So we live in a wealthy town, and so lots of items get donated, and there's a lobby in the elementary school, so I'm gonna have 2 buckets, and I'm gonna tell the kids, or email the teachers, and have the teachers tell their students to bring in any extra gardening supplies they have. Once I, you know, get a count on that, I'm then going to order the necessary materials. I have it estimated at about $1,000 as for a startup cost, and it's for 1,000 square feet.
What are you going to do with the crops once you harvest them from the garden?
Well, what I was thinking is kids could have food parties, they could have, you know, they could really learn more about local food. So once they take them, they could just eat them in the class and do something fun with them.
Do you have a farmer's market in Sherburne?
It's in Natick. Yeah,
Have you thought about having them set up a booth
a booth where?
at the farmer's market?
Oh, having the little kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really depends on how much food we get from the garden, but that could definitely be a long-term goal and I'm not really sure if elementary kids could do that, but definitely in the future I'm looking to implement, depending on the success of the elementary one, I'm looking to do one in the high school, so it would definitely be an option for the high school kids to do so.
All right, thank you.